Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us for this edition of SBB University, where we are going to cover what to do with your stuff because your kids don't want it. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you a little secret. This is talking to my grandmother as well, Nana. Consolidating now is going to do your kids a big favor later. So without further ado, we have some introductions to make. We have Miss Kathy Parrish, who is with us from WeCare Senior Relocation Services. We also have Miss Donna Evans, who is with us from Goodwill, Manasota, White Glove Service. And we have Marc, who's with us from Diamond Trading Company. How are all of you doing today?
We are well.
Doing great.
Wonderful.
Great.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time out this morning to sit down with me and talk about this interesting subject. When I was able to do this in person, it was standing room only. So I think that seniors are very interested on what to do to prepare for this next phase in their life. So Marc, I will start with you because you are in the industry of kind of getting some money out of these things that folks want to get rid of or maybe need to detach from. So tell me exactly what it is that you do. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I've been in this business a very long time. Started out in retail. Now, basically what I do is I buy antique and estate jewelry, coins, precious metals, watches, and objets d'art, things that are just interesting and nice. Excuse me. What I tell folks is when time changes, desire changes, circumstance changes, there are things. Yes, sometimes the children and the grandchildren like the jewelry items, like the old coin collections, but oftentimes they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what to do with it. Many people have said to me, if I leave it to them, they're just going to fritter it away and basically blow it. As I tell people, get the joy of the giving.
100%.
If you're not going to use it, let everybody pick what they want. What they don't pick and you don't know about, I will look at, we will talk about it. I tell people you've got to do what you want to do. They say, is the time right? I said, if the time is right for you, then the time is right.
Yes.
Right now, the precious metals markets are very strong. So that's something we should always be aware of. And I just tell folks, you've got to decide. We look at things together. My business is obviously to buy, but only from a willing seller.
Right.
And a lot of folks are in a position where they would rather have cash, they'd rather have money than the merchandise that's sitting there, that isn't being used, that isn't being loved. And that's what I do.
Yeah, because a lot of times people think that they're holding on to these precious items, and they're very precious to the seniors. They really are. So it's a difficult conversation sometimes, I'm sure. And that's where I think I'll loop Kathy in. Kathy, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company that you represent, and then we'll kind of dive into, how you help them make that separation, if you will.
Yeah. Well, of course, I'm the owner of WeCare Senior Relocation Service, and we are a senior move management company. Along with that, though, we don't have to outsource the mover. We are the mover as well, which makes us a little bit different because we are doing everything from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm originally from Kentucky and lived the last 12 years before coming to Florida in Nashville. So I'm as southern as
you can get.
You can imagine. Been here in Florida with our business for 4 years, and we do everything from packing, unpacking, organizing, taking items to donation, hanging pictures, floor planning. So whatever you need, ultimately to transition from your home to either a senior living community, or even if you just decide to go to an apartment or a smaller home.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, tell me a little bit about some of your tips and tricks when it comes to downsizing.
Okay. So, I mean, I do have like a lot about, 10 tips, but I'm just going to give you a few that I use. But first off, I'm going to move back a little bit because never mind. I'm sitting outside and the guy here, the fumes from the vehicle were about to make me pass out. So, one of the things that I always say, can you hear me? Oh, I thought I heard somebody in the background. Like the gentleman, Mark, had said, get generous. His is a little bit different, but, everything in your home that you're not taking, it's got to go. It's got to go somewhere, right? And the kids, as this is all about, and I, over the years, have learned this a lot. I know everybody, we all believe, and it is valuable to us, our things, but the kids don't want it anymore. The Lennox China, we just had this happen today. I actually had to leave and come straight here from a move. And one of the daughters is from Memphis, and she said, Mom, just take your pieces and your old neighbors, just let everybody pick one, and that's like your going away present. So, books, you can't take books, and I say donate those to a library, take them to the senior living community where you're at, and because they have a library in there, and you can always donate that to them as well. So another one is, which I think is kind of neat, is have a party. There's one person that I know that actually had they had wine and cheese, and so they invited the whole neighborhood over, and everything that was left, that the donation or, a family did not want to take, they all had a party. Come on in, pick what you want, have a glass of wine, and have a snack while you're at it.
I love it. I love it. And you know what, that's a perfect segue to bounce up to Donna, because, if they don't want those things, where are they going to go? So Donna, tell me a little bit about yourself, and, Goodwill, and how people can bring their items to you, or how that you can get their items from their home.
Exactly. I'm Donna with Goodwill, Manasota, and I'm with a service called White Glove Service that we offer. We're the only ones in town that do offer it. You go to WeCare Senior Relocation and you relocate all of your goodies that you're going to take to your new location. And then what are you going to do with everything that is left? Unless you want to have a party. But if you don't have a party, you could invite me. And
for wine and cheese.
For wine and cheese. But I do a walkthrough and look and see exactly what's left, all the furniture, all the stuff in the kitchen cabinets and the linen closets in the garage. And we bring a team that comes in there and we pack everything up and we pick everything up, take it to our local Goodwill for our mission. We give the donor a donation receipt so they can use that for their tax purposes. And the best part is we do it all for free.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yep.
So I'm going to bounce down back to Mark again. So if you're not giving your stuff away for free and you want to get it appraised, let's just go past this and say mom and dad, grandma, they didn't actually do that process where they downsized first. When you inherit jewelry, do you have it all appraised, or how does that work?
There's all kinds of appraisals. You've got insurance appraisal, which is the price that nobody pays. And a lot of times people think if an item is appraised very highly, their item is worth a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But it's the price that nobody pays. When you need an appraisal, for example, for an estate, it's a different type of appraisal. I can sign off on it, but it's different. It's what a willing buyer will pay a willing seller.
Yeah.
It's the lowest legitimate passing price. IRS has a willing buyer and a willing seller. So what the insurance appraisal doesn't help. You need something for more as an estate appraisal or a market price, which is basically an offer to buy.
Right.
So you have to decide, you've got to be realistic. And the market is very, very brutal. What you paid for it isn't necessarily what you think it's worth.
Probably even worse than driving a car off the car lot, right, Mark?
Oh, absolutely. In a retail stores, in a retail jewelry store, a chain store, the average markup is 2.6. So if you have an item that sells for 2,600, it only costs about 1,000. And sometimes it's a very brutal awakening. Coins are very good. It's a good market. It moves with the metals markets. Collectors' coins don't move quite so quickly. There's bullion coins, which is obviously gold or silver. It depends what folks have.
Yeah.
Usually the desire or the necessity tells you what you're planning on doing.
Yeah, and I think all those things really fluctuate with the market too, right?
Yes. Collectors' pieces don't fluctuate as much. The bullion coins, sorry for the noise here, I'm sitting outside a restaurant. But the owner has to kind of decide what they want to do. And they always lead me, because I say, what do you want to do? They say, well, what are you here for? I said, well, I'm here to buy if you want to sell. I love you if we do business. I love you if we don't do business. So, I mean, that's the way I get with people. I personally am not a high pressure guy. I'm a low pressure guy because I don't react well to pressure. And I try to let folks decide what they want to do. Oftentimes, they're at a point where liquidation, or at least a part of their items, is probably the best for them. Let their money work for them. At least and if they want to give it to the kids, they got something to give it to the kids. At least they know what they've got, rather than something that nobody wants that they're going to blow it.
So it's really important to have those conversations with your children, grandchildren. They have interest in your items. If they don't, you should take it to the site first and go ahead and sell that, because you could use it to move and pay Kathy. Right. So moving along to Kathy. So Kathy, now you started with one of your tips. I'm sure you have more that you want to share, but what services does a move manager actually offer? Because you do a lot more than just pack, unpack, and out you go.
Yeah. I like to say that our services, sometimes you have to kind of be a counselor with what we do, because especially during COVID, a lot of families could not come and be with their loved one, and it was a time when they needed to transition. So we're kind of like an extended family.
Sure.
So I'm the extended family member who's putting together those pieces, an advocate, for them, supporting the family through that whole process, and then developing an overall move or an age in place plan. So that means getting the floor plan and putting that furniture where it needs to go based on safety, organizing and sorting. So that means sitting down with someone, actually with a team of ladies, and we can have guys too, but typically it's the ladies that will sit down and just decide, this is our trash, this is our donate, and this is our take with us. So we can do all of those things, as well as, I think, shipping, because we're talking about kids. Some of the kids decide, I want to send it, to my kids. Can you ship it to? I've done that here the last little bit, quite a bit. China, antiques, special things that are important to them.
Just make sure your kids want them.
And typically, the thing with, I think that it's hard for seniors to understand, or even, as we get older, there's all this china. There's all of these dishes. There's so much. And for women, that was what defined a woman. Dinner parties and gatherings and your china and your dishes and everything in there, it defined you as a woman. And it's very heartbreaking because nobody uses that anymore.
Well, they don't even use it. That's what.
No, they don't use it, but they don't want it. They want it. Well, I mean, I got a move I just did, and there was a table, and I thought the table was fairly new, but they still had the receipt. I looked at it, was from 1996. They still had the receipt from 1996 for the table, you know. But there's all of these, you know, parts that we can put together. Sometimes, I mean, I can help people get to one destination to the other if a family's not available. But, you know, ultimately, I tell people they think their stuff is worth a lot, and in their heart, I know that it is, but nobody wants those items. They're looking for postal pieces, and so it's just hard. You're not going to get a big value of money, penny on the dollar, you know, for it. And if you don't have the time to put it on Facebook Marketplace, you know, then, you know, you're in trouble.
Absolutely. Now, Donna, when you come and pick this stuff up for free, what's the procedure if you're interested in donating it? And just out of curiosity, what happens to it after it's donated? How does it go back?
Sure. Well, if someone's interested, what I do, they call me up and I do a walkthrough, seeing exactly what furniture that they're going to do. And again, looking in those china cabinets, and just like she said, the kids aren't entertaining like they used to. So nobody wants it except for, you know, the people that are trying to give it away. But we'll go ahead and do that. And then it goes to one of our 9 Goodwills. We have probably over 40 Goodwills, but there's 9 retail stores. And with that, all that money and the revenue generated from those sales are for what we do, which is changing lives through the power of work. That's what we try to do is, you know, people that are displaced workers, if you are a veteran with PTSD, yeah, or if you have some kind of physical or mental handicap, try to employ those people. And we have, a lot of people don't realize, Goodwill Manasota employs over 700 people in our local community. So all those proceeds go toward, you know, keeping the buildings up and running, our paychecks, etc. But we're all paid employees, no volunteers.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, does somebody need to, do they actually have to pack up all of their stuff, or do you guys come in and do the packing too?
No, we do all the packing for them. So all they have to do is open up the door on the day of arrival, and they go out for breakfast, and we take care of the rest. And I always surprise people because our team has been together for so long. We've been doing this for 12 years, and it's the same group of people. That we have just, it's like a smooth, well-oiled machine. And within probably 3 hours, we can pack up a whole entire 2 or 3 bedroom house. If you were to try to do your own house, exactly, she knows.
But yeah, I wanted to, am I allowed to ask a question? You know, so how far, you know, I know you're, do you just do those type of services for free in Manasota?
Just Sarasota and Manatee County. Yeah,
Right.
because we are Goodwill Manasota.
Okay.
I actually started the service. This is just kind of a personal note, 12 years ago. When my grandma, I've been working with Goodwill for 23 years, but my grandmother passed away and we were going through the same kind of thing. What are we going to do with all the stuff, because we have our own stuff? So we buried her and we took what we wanted of hers, and then they all left. My whole family left and I packed up my grandmother's apartment. But it was that bright light bulb moment that said, why aren't we doing something like this at Goodwill, especially with our senior community? What I didn't realize, even with senior community, we have a lot of people that are from Canada or out of state that have a second home here. And now the market is so hot, they're trying to sell a furnished home and the new owners don't want the furnishings. So we've done, you know, I market with not only seniors, but the realtors also. So get a lot of good stuff.
Very good. Very good. Now, Marc, I'm going to ask you, like, if somebody is thinking about inheriting or redesigning, what would you recommend?
Well, if you're getting a piece of jewelry that you want to keep part of it and redo it, I don't get into that. I can recommend a few people if they do want to do it, some very fine craftsmen. My part of the business is the disposition part.
Mhm.
whether you want to dispose of it or you need to dispose of it. There's a lot of good jewelry stores there that will redesign pieces for you. Sometimes it doesn't pay. That's a personal thing. You get a piece from a loved one, whether it pays or not, you want to put it into something, modernize it, then you do it,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. But as far as redesigning, I've done that over the years. Sorry for all the noise here. I've redone that over the years. We had a wonderful design department in my stores up north, but I really don't get into that anymore. I've become very specific on disposing of items, although if people need pieces, they're looking for diamonds, antique and estate jewelry, Art Deco pieces, very fine watches. Those I do. The other things I have to recommend somebody else. It's just not my thing anymore.
Okay, well, it's good that you're a resource for them if they do need it. I guess the best example I can think of is if somebody has like an old wedding ring that they would want redesigned. They want those specific diamonds from their family. So it's great that they have that resource out there with Marc. All right, we're going to run through one more round. So Kathy, Marc was our beginner. Kathy, we'll just ask you a few more questions. When should you start preparing for this move? Because it sneaks up on you pretty quick. I know every time people procrastinate. I mean, should you start downsizing when you just start thinking about it, or what do you suggest?
Yes, I think as soon as you start thinking about it, I always say start with the garage, the attics, and like the outside areas. Start going through all of those things first and getting rid of that. Take an inventory, like of your canned goods and your other items in the home, and use all of that up. Don't go out and buy more, but the earlier you can start planning for this, the better, because you're gonna, like I said, we've all talked, there's all these moving pieces to it. And a lot of times if it won't go to donation, well, then it's got to go to the dump.
Yeah.
And that is something that we can do. If donation can't take it, if they it's not in their guidelines, or if it just or they're so full, I've had a couple of places that I've went, we just, we can't take anymore, we're so full. We can take and do all of those things for them, as well. But definitely start early, because we understand that sometimes we're in crisis mode. We go to rehab, we have a fall or whatever. But I think as soon as you start thinking about it, putting a plan together is always the best.
It's like I said, it's a really great service that you can provide your kids and your grandkids, that you really should consider doing it way before you need it. At least.
And the way we can help the kids. Yeah, and the way we can help the kids is, I can help facilitate storage units.
Mm-hmm.
I can give them a list of the folks like Donna and Goodwill, the White Glove, and help coordinate that for them. Help them with finding, we go to a lot of hoarding situations.
Yeah, I bet.
So maybe we need to find somebody who they have cars that's just been sitting there, and somebody needs to tow those away. It's very stressful, not just only for the person moving, but it's stressful for the family. It's a lot. They're trying to keep mom and dad happy, and at the same time try to still take care of their family, and do all of these things and find the resources that they need. So it's a very, moving and is, in the top 4.
One of the top stressors, that's for sure. I've actually used a service like yours, and it's breathtaking how it takes that stress right off of you.
Oh yeah. I think families, it's just crazy. They just can't hardly believe that we can go in the family in one day pack it, take it in, set it up, and the whole thing set up, hung pictures up. But all they got to do is walk in and enjoy it.
Yeah, it takes a professional to do that. I can't do that on my own.
It's easier to move somebody else than it is yourself.
That's very true. Very true. All right, Donna, I'll just piggyback on what Kathy said and just ask you this question. If let's say Kathy does this move and there is stuff that you need to get rid, or that they want to get rid of, but you can't take, what are some of the requirements, or what wouldn't you be able to take, I guess?
Not a lot of things that we can't take, but there are certain things, pianos, organs, electric beds, water beds. You know, it's just, again, they're so huge and nobody buys them anymore. My little rhyme that I give to people as they're going through their places is, when in doubt, throw it out.
Yes.
You know, if you wouldn't buy it at Goodwill, nobody else is going to want to either. And just like, yeah, we hear it all the time, that dining room table, oh, it's so valuable. And I remind them, it's not the table, it's the people that sat around the table. And those people are still going to be with them. So they really have to take what's going to give them joy. I just moved my mom a couple years ago into retirement. So we went through that whole process. And if they can do just one room at a time, because it does seem very overwhelming after you've lived somewhere for 20 years or so. Yeah, right. We can't take liquor, we can't take open food, but now we can take non-perishable food. Goodwill partners with every food bank in town.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, whether you're going through white glove service, a lot of people don't know that. You can donate, you know, unopened cans of food, boxes of food to any Goodwill, and we'll, at White Glove Service, pack it up, or you can drop it off at any Goodwill and we'll make sure it goes to the local food bank.
Perfect. Yeah, you answered my last question. Is there a place where you can drop off small items?
Yeah, we have over, what was I saying? Yeah, 21 freestanding attended, we call them attended donation centers,
Yes.
because all of them have somebody. You can drive up and someone will come right out to your car. And then, of course, every retail store and our bookstores all have a drop-off spot too. And we are never closed. Well, Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's it. Other than that, we're always open.
We go through that drive-through a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I bet you do, Kathy.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, it's always good to connect professionals and make sure you guys know what each other does. And it's a pleasure to bring this dynamic panel to all of our readership and viewers out there. So thanks for tuning in today to today's episode. Make sure you put your questions in the chat and we will get them answered for you right away. Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning.